Well, we're gonna be, we should be.
Should be there.
I kind of feel
There we
alive.
are. Okay, we're
Yeah.
live, but not
I feel that way
live.
myself. Show with the presence.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on His face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. If the halls with boughs of holly, la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, la 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 la. Don me now our gay apparel, la 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 la. Turn the ancient Yuletide carol, la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, la 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 la.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to New Jersey Post. Wonderful to see everyone here, and welcome to everyone at home. I'd like to welcome and honor Barbara, our music director, and I'd like to welcome new listeners and remind people here, please silence your cell phones. The daily word today is love. I feel blessed to share God's steadfast love. As Advent season continues, I give thanks for the steadfast love of God, which dispels the darkness of conflict and loneliness with the light of harmony and togetherness. Love is personal and sacred, human and divine, immediate and immortal. Amid seasons, seasonal greetings for joy and peace. I give thanks for the power of love. I am a divine being, bringing the love of God into the world through my words and actions. I am a kind,
Patient person, compassionate, empathetic, encouraging, and supportive. As I am blessed by love, I share love's blessings with others. I center myself on the Christ within and go forth as the heart and hands of love in the world. Beloved, let us love one another because love is from God. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. Love. I feel blessed to share God's steadfast love. So when I read the daily word this morning, I thought, wow, it touches me. It's mixed. It makes me think of people who are lonely during this time of year, but it also touches my heart because various times during the season, I feel lonely or sad when I think of people that I miss that aren't here, or when I forget to think how full my life is. I might get a little down, but in thinking about the mystery that happens during this time of year, and how people are joyous and thinking about children and how Christmas is for them. It's just a wonderful time of the year. And it's a time that I think most of us do remember to try to be kind. And so, what a nice thing. Like to say our mission statement. We are a loving, nurturing community dedicated to being a positive path to spiritual living to awaken oneness with God within us all. Someone just whispered something in it. So in case you saw me looking around like, what just happened? That's what it was. So like to mention that we have things going on here. I think people who listen who aren't first timers know of most of these things. Charlie's meditation, the first Monday of the month at 7 p.m. Wonderful meditation to center you. It's online only. We also have the third week of the month at 6:30. We have game night. We just had that last week. Game night is great. It's always different every time we have it. It's wonderful because Rachel and her children usually come in. Having the kids here is like the best part of it, I think. So that's great. We have a poetry group, and that is wonderful with Shane Morin. The third Saturday of the month, we have that at 2:00. During that, what's nice is it ends up being a philosophical discussion. And Shane, when I first thought of poetry, I thought, oh my God, boring. But going to Shane's group is just wonderful. He makes poetry fun and modern, and he makes you think. So if you haven't been, stop by. I think you might enjoy it. Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, we're going to have Christmas carols this year, like we have in the past. They will be Friday, the 22nd at 6? Is that at 6:30? People will meet here and go out and carol.
No.
You carol in here?
Yeah, we all just sing. It's hard to carry the piano from door to door.
Oh. I thought, oh, isn't this funny? I don't get to go because I always go away. I always thought you went out caroling outdoors to other places.
No, we have heat here.
Tom will explain when he comes up in case you can't hear him talking. Okay. This is a funny facilitation today. So now we're going to do a tradition, which I know. It's namaste. Namaste is a Sanskrit word meaning the Christ in me honors and sees the Christ in you. The best in me sees the best in you. Please stand and do namaste. Namaste, Charlie. Namaste. Barbara will do a song now.
Love came down at Christmas. Love, oh lovely, divine. Love was born at Christmas. Stars and angels gave the sign. Love came down at Christmas. Love, oh lovely, love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Stars and angels gave the sign. Stars and angels gave the sign. Love shall be a token. Love be yours and love be mine. Love from God to all of us. Love for free and give the sign. Love for free and give the sign. Love shall be a token. Love for yours and love be mine. Love from God to all of us. Love for free and give the sign. Love came down at Christmas. Love, oh lovely, love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Stars and angels gave the sign. Stars and angels gave the sign. Back to you, Chick.
So now it's time to introduce our
Oh,
spiritual
leader.
leader.
I'm thinking, what would I like to say about our spiritual leader today? One thing I'm thinking is I admire Tom in a lot of ways. And this morning I was thinking, it surprises me every week that his talk is always unique. And there's something that I get out of it every week. And I don't think that's as easy to do as he makes it look. So I'd like to welcome Tom up here.
I come with one.
Oh,
I was trying to just give you a hug. Thanks. And then let me give you a hug. I never get to. You're always moving around. So good morning, everyone. So first, wonderful choice of songs. Turned out I did know that first one. For those who aren't here, the Namaste is so much fun. Normally, Namaste, you go to church and it's Namaste, Namaste. Now we actually shoot it at everyone. Namaste. And nobody stops till they've gotten everyone in the room. It's just not a group Namaste. So when we have 100 or more people, Namaste is going to take an hour. Yeah. Luckily, our fingers aren't loaded. So I got this idea for the talk from talking to Reverend Diane. She does 3 talks over 3 years during the Christmas season about Christmas shows or movies that we watched. And I thought about It's a Wonderful Life. Now, how many have seen this movie? Everybody. It's a classic, and it seems to grow in popularity each year. I first saw it in my mid-20s. I'd gone to a friend's house to get help wrapping Christmas gifts, and they were out. So I flipped on the TV, and it was just beginning, and I sat there on their couch, watched the whole movie, and I was blown away that I had never seen it before. How did I go that far in my life and not see it was beyond me? The story is this. This guy, George Bailey, lives in town, Bedford Falls. We've all seen the Welcome to Bedford, or You Are Now in Bedford Falls sign in the movie. He's struggling in life. Life just did not add up the way that he had hoped it to or planned it. It appears that he has all that he needs, but perhaps he doesn't know that his wants are his what he appears to have all he wants, but perhaps he doesn't know that his wants are really what his needs are. I think at some point we all relate to this. We set these plans in motion. We have ideas of what's going on. We don't realize that we have everything we need, which really is everything that we want. And for him, every problem in town seems to land at his feet. And the latest problem becomes a doozy. People begin to pray for him. The whole town prays. His wife asks others to pray, and they get heard. One of the first things you hear during the opening music is someone praying, "George is a good guy. Give him a break, God." And then we hear Donna Reed, who plays Mary, her prayer. "I love him, dear Lord. Watch over him tonight." Those 2 lines, those 2 prayers capture so much of what others go through. Have you ever felt so lost or struggling, you just want to yell out, "I'm a good person, just give me a break, God"? We've all gone through that. And the flip side of that is when we're going through that, we get so lost. We get that type of depression that becomes tunnel vision, where we can't see the world around us. We can only see the pain that we're feeling and the weight and the heaviness. And Mary represents that other side, that world who's looking at us. And when she says, "I love him, dear Lord, watch over him tonight," it captures everything. To love someone that much in the dark moments, to do what you know best. I've had those prayers done for me, and they're powerful stuff. His kids feel it. The whole town feels it. Yet George is locked in. He's locked in into his own perspective. Sometimes we get this low. We think we're masking it, yet everyone around us sees it. We're the only one doesn't see it. Now, so all these prayers go to God, and of course, God blows his trumpets and leagues of angels come down and flock to his aid. Well, not quite. He sends a bubbling second class angel who's not yet earned his wings. It appears that God has scraped this angel from the bottom of his shoe and sent him down there. And St. Joseph reminds God that Clarence was a clockmaker, but he describes him as having the IQ of a rabbit. But God chimes in, but he has the faith of a child. So this lesson is one of the first lessons that we learn. Perhaps God does not send us what we think is the best, but perhaps God sends us exactly what we need. Clarence now spends a little bit of time learning about George, and we get our first glimpse of him when George was young and life began to change. And this is the critical moment that starts the whole change. All the neighborhood kids are sliding down the hills on these flat shovels onto the pond below. The last one to go is George's younger brother, and he goes too far and falls into the water. And this is when we see one side of George, the true side of George, the best side of him. He doesn't think, he just dives in, saves his brother, while at the same time commanding the other kids to form a chain to help pull them out. George, even as a kid, has something commanding about him within his community. He's the guy that saves people, and people turn to him. This action costs George dearly. Gets a cold in his ear, and he loses hearing in that ear. Next, we see George walking through town. George is with his friends, but George is on his way to his job. He works at the pharmacy, soda type thing. Remember those? Weren't those great? You go in, you can knock on the back door, get your drugs, and and then get a root beer float. And this is where we meet a young Mary and a young Violet. Violet automatically is flirty, and Mary is smitten. And George, the girl that's kind of smitten with me, calls her brainless. His first real interaction with her. Hey, brainless, why don't you like coconuts? And in return, she whispers her confession of love in his bad ear. But from the get-go, we realize that nobody enters George's life without a reason. And by the way, when we watch the movie, look at the casting of the young Mary. She has Donna Reed's eyes. I mean, that is perfect casting. And in this scene, we get to see two sides of George Bailey. He's putting coconuts on Mary's sundae after she says that she does not care about him. He totally doesn't pay attention to her and does what he wants. And the other side of George comes through. He picks up that letter and learns that Mr. McGowan's son has died from influenza, probably Spanish flu at the time. And he checks on his boss, and his boss is broken up, and he asks him to take pills to the son of old, I don't know her name, old Miss, what's her name? I think it's in the credits. George realizes that the pills are poison, but Mr. McGowan urges him to go. And not knowing what to do, he sees a sign on the wall, "Ask Dad." This is great advice, because sometimes we each have to turn to someone who has more wisdom than us. We also learn that sometimes that person isn't available. Then we need to go inside and figure it out. George comes to the defense of his father. We're meeting with Mr. Potter. And then he returns to the pharmacy. And Mr. McGowan eventually slaps him for not delivering the pills. George, although scared and in pain and worried about his bad ear, shows great compassion and empathy and tells Mr. McGowan he understands. Sometimes, and many times in life, things aren't personal. You need to see both sides of the story. George knew both sides, so he was able to act with compassion and empathy. And from this few scenes, we get to see so much of what we need to know about George. He has dreams, he is caring, and at the same time dismissive. He loves his dad. His dad is running the building alone. And a big part of the business is caring for others. We also know that he wants to travel. And we know that someone loves him. The night before George is to go off to college and begin his dreams, we see Harry as he leaves for his graduation party at the high school. George will attend. And then we see George and his father sitting at the dinner table. George is discussing his plans, and his father is explaining to him what it means to help others. I cannot help but think this is really a conversation between both sides of George, between George and the compassionate side of George. George doesn't realize it, but he is torn. We all have those conversations about what we think we want and what we think we need to do. We examine the pros and the cons. So he goes to the dance. We see a few more friends. And this is where the conflicts really collide, because he sees a grown-up Mary. Mary is still smitten, yet she knows what she wants, and she has strength. There's something about Mary that is undeterred, which is just wonderful. George is scooped away from Violet, who's trying to ask him to dance, but doesn't get the chance because Mary's older brother comes in and says, "Oh, my younger sister wants to dance with you." And this is when we get to see the greatest shot in the movie, and one of the greatest shots in all movies. Donna Reed's face looking as she sees George. It captures everything. We all have those moments in our life when we've met someone and we were frozen in time for that moment. I remember when I first met Bo and Sumney. I remember the first time I met Casey. We all have that. It's just a marked moment. And I think Frank Capra does a great job of doing that. Very similar to what was done in Casablanca when we first see Ingrid Bergman's face. And this is the moment in the film to me when it all collides, when his dreams and wishes with what he needs collides with her will and her understanding of her will, because she is not deterred. They go to the house that they will eventually buy, and he tells her of his dreams and his plans, and she may hear the words, but she's having none of it because she has bigger plans. In life, sometimes God has bigger plans than our plans. She turns away, throws a rock through the window, and makes a wish. And immediately, you know whose wish is stronger. George didn't know it, but she wished that both their dreams would come true. Not the one he wanted, but the one that they both needed. I was destined to be a stand-up comedian. I had it going on. I had that path laid out. And then I met Casey. And I realized that that was original path was not the dream I wanted or I needed. I wanted and needed to be a family. Your worlds collide and you make decisions. Your path changes, but you go along that path and you realize when you're taking the steps that you've made the right choice on your path. Sadly, George's father has a stroke and passes away, and George takes over the building alone. The trip is off the board, and Mary's dream is firmly rooted. Sometimes in life, you need to be a part of a team. Mary and George are part of a team. They get married, and on their wedding day, there's a run on the bank. George is trying to convince people to hold off until the bank can reopen. Everyone wanted their money out. But Mary steps up and offers their honeymoon trip money. They are a team. And we learn that she's also bought the old house that they first kissed in front of. And I love this because Mary acts upon her dreams. It's not enough to dream it. You must take the steps. Later we see Martini, who owns a bar, buys a house, and we see all the people in the town celebrate. The lesson here is we need community in our highs and lows. We need to share in our joy as much as we share in others. Mary is as much a part of this as anybody else's. There's comfort in Mary. There's always someone in your life that there's comfort in. Hang on to those people. His friend Wainwright has become very successful and is driving up and down the coast. There are people, lesson here is there are people that you know who are going to do better than you and people who are going to do worse. Just treat them as people. Wainwright's a really good guy and proves it through the whole movie. And we see George and Mary waving goodbye to him. And we get a glimpse of the community that George has built. We see all those little houses that he has lent, and he's built up a community. It takes us all to build up a community. And we also know that there are people who are just miserable. They're bitter or jealous, and pay them no attention. Potter offers George a job, playing on George's dreams. And a good clue that he's offering nothing besides bitterness is that in front of George, he's got a skeleton, a skull, sitting on the desk. He's offering George the death of the building and loan, wrapped in a shiny package. Mary and George have kids. Mary spends her time fixing the home. George spends his time working. The war comes. George's ear kept him from fighting. Harry became a war hero as a fighter pilot and wins the Congressional Medal of Honor. During the war, George is home, and he runs the savings and loans, and he does all the things that he can to help the war effort. And this may not seem like a lesson, but the lesson is control the controllable. Focus on the things that you can do something about, and let God control the things that you cannot. Let go, let God, and don't worry about tomorrow. The town is planning a big celebration for Harry. It's Christmas Eve. He's coming back a hero. Uncle Billy loses the year-end deposit. Life keeps happening. Some reason also, there's a crow in the office. I have no idea, but a little bit of trivia, the crow actually has a name. He's called Jimmy the Crow. And it always, oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Okay, so not as interesting. And it all goes south from here. George begins to really feel the weight of this on his shoulder. He snaps at Uncle Billy. He snaps at home. He snaps at the school teacher. Life can have such heaviness to it, and sometimes we don't see the path. We blame others. We blame the world. We feel disconnected. The closest to us seem to take the heat, not because we want it to be that way. They just happen to be in the line of fire. Things that normally wouldn't upset us tick us off. Mary again asks the kids to pray. She does what she knows, and then she reaches out to get all the facts. And after contemplating suicide and Clarence saving him from that choice, George decides it would have been better off if he had never been born. I have to give it to Frank Capra for covering all these emotions of depression and not only in around the holidays, but the stuff that we go through in life. We always don't always see the way out. We lose our tempers, we lose our focus. I don't know much about Frank Capra, but he gets this side of human emotion. George is really one of the first anti-heroes in the movies. He's not a likable guy, yet he does for the most part try to do the right thing. But at the same time, he's careless with his words and his actions. He insults people, tells people to shut up. He makes people cry. He shakes the stockings off Uncle Billy. He's mean to his wife and to his kids. Yet there's something redeemable in him that we cannot help but to root for him. And maybe it's because we see something in Mary. She loves him so that we have to look past his flaws to see him. Or maybe it's because we've all had those moments where we've not been our best selves, our dreams have not added up, or we've treated people badly, or we've lost our way. Frank Capra seems to get this, and he shows it through this man, George Bailey. And I want to take something, I want you guys to notice something here. The 5 principles come into play, actually, principle 5. Ever since Mary has whispered in George's ear, she's taken action steps toward her dream, concrete steps. George has had his dreams, but his actions have given him the results that he has. Not once has he ever brought in anyone to teach him how to run the building alone. All his actions have made him be part of that community, which is not a bad thing, but Mary has taken the action steps for her dream to come to fruition. She's firm, she's affixed to her dream. Mary will do what she has to do to make sure she has a family, a house, and that life goes on. Clarence informs George that his dream has come true, or his wish has come true. He has never been born. And all the subtleties of a life, footprints and the imprints have been washed away. His ear is fine because he never would have gone in the water. His car is gone, everything. Imagine if we could take time to reflect on what our lives have meant to others. I mean, what a wonderful gift that would be. We would see what we mean to the world and to the community, the moments that we've touched in others' lives, the kind word, the gift, the love that we've shared. If we could distance our mind from our troubles every now and then and focus on the moment, focus on right thinking, I mean, what a gift that would be for each one of us. You know, when I'm not with you guys, I need you guys. You give me comfort. We all have a Clarence in our lives, but we also have a Mary in our lives. Someone who is living, someone who is an actual walking, breathing, guardian angel, and we need to recognize them in our lives. I cannot imagine this past year if I didn't have you guys in it, if I didn't have my kids, or if I didn't have Casey in it. My strength doesn't come necessarily from me. My strength comes from the community in which we live in. We've each built a life, and within our life is a sense of community. And it should do these things for each one of us. Lift us up, allow us to feel blessed. You know, take time to step back, take time to notice others and our impact and others' impact upon ourselves. And when we do that, we will find that it is a wonderful life. Thank you. Step away and we'll do the meditation. Oh, that was great. So today's meditation is kind of my way of acknowledging stuff in the world. I've been reading from the World Prayers of Peace, and I'm going to do two. One is a Jewish prayer for peace, and the other is an Islamic prayer for peace. I'm going to ask each one of you to get comfortable. Find your comfortable breathing pattern. As we enter into our silence, know that there's one power, one presence in our lives and in the universe. God the good and great omnipresence. Jewish prayer for peace. Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, that we may walk the path of the Most High. And we shall beat our swords into plowshares, and our spears into pruning hooks. Nations shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore, and none shall be afraid. The mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken. An Islamic prayer for peace. O God, you are peace. From you comes peace. To you returns peace. Revive us with salutation of peace, and lead us to your abode of peace. We think of thee, worship thee, bow to thee as the creator of this universe. We seek refuge in thee. The truth, our only support. Thou art the ruler. The barge in this ocean of endless birth and death. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, Praise be to the Lord of the universe, who has created us and made us into tribes and nations, that we may know each other, not that we may despise each other. If the enemy inclines towards peace, then also incline towards peace. And trust God, for the Lord is one that heareth and knoweth all things, and a servant of God. Most gracious are those who walk on earth in humility. And when we address them in peace. I'm going to invite you to come back to me and we will do the prayer for others. This time of year, we tend to care a little more than we do other times of the year. Hopefully we're learning to care as much all year as we do during the Christmas season. But as the weather gets colder, as the days get shorter, we think of those in the world who are going through difficulties, those who have no place to sleep at night, no place warm, those who are missing others, those who are ill, oppressed, hungry. To them we wish and we affirm wholeness, happiness, and health. We see them in their best light, and we do this from our best light. Everyone is worthy of God's best, and we see them with that. So for all those that we are praying for, we affirm their health and their safety and their love, that they are strong in body and mind. And so it is. Amen. I'd like to do the collections.
As I walk down the road, a set of sun, lambs are coming homeward one by one. I heard a sheep bell softly calling them along the little road to Bethlehem. Beside an open door as I drew nigh, I heard sweet Mary sing a lullaby. She sang about the lambs in close of day, rocked her tiny king among the
I'd like to repeat the prayer of tithes and offerings with me. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. Thank you, Tracy. And we will close this out with the prayer of protection and then the peace song. Wow, that's magic. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well, and we are richly blessed. Thank you all.
Is there any way you can come on Friday night between? I'm gonna try.
Oh, thanks.
But I'm gonna
We're still alive.
I'm not gonna.
They call me